You want the Maldives, but you have a Mexico budget.
Mm-hmm.
You are craving that electric turquoise of the Caribbean, but you also want, just enough ancient history access to make it feel cultural.
And where does that whole travel hype machine point you?
Hurghada, Egypt,
Hmm.
right on the sun-drenched coast of the Red Sea.
And if you, the listener, have spent any time at all scrolling through travel feeds or looking at those package deals, you've definitely seen the photos.
Oh, absolutely.
You've seen the pristine white sand, the wooden swings over the crystal clear water, and you're probably convinced that this is the arbitrage opportunity of the travel world.
But we are here today because you need a comprehensive, and I have to say, often painful, reality check.
That's putting it mildly.
Absolutely. We have done the deep dive into all the source material you shared, the articles, the detailed travel reports, the forum posts, and here is the core non-negotiable truth. The water truly is that electric turquoise blue. The Red Sea is genuinely one of the world's most beautiful natural spectacles. That is the one saving grace of this entire destination.
Right, that's the prize. But the surrounding city, the infrastructure that supports the logistics of your vacation, and the sheer daily grind of simply trying to exist outside a resort gate.
Yeah.
That is beige, dusty, aggressive, and it requires constant vigilance.
So welcome to the deep dive on Hurghada. Our mission today is to definitively answer the question, is it a budget paradise? Or is it a high-friction tourist trap hellscape?
And our mission is really specific. It's tailor-made for you. We're breaking down the Hurghada experience across two very distinct budget profiles.
Right, because how you spend your money fundamentally determines the level of hassle you are going to experience. It's that simple.
First up, we've got the mid-range comfort trip. So this traveler is spending somewhere between, let's say, $150 and $250 a day.
Okay, so they're looking for more than just a bed.
Exactly. They're seeking boutique accommodation, they're looking for private speedboats for diving, and they're generally trying to filter out all the noise and all the friction. They want that luxury experience, but at half the Western price.
And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have the backpacker adventure.
Yep. This is the budget grinder. They are striving to keep the daily burn under $50 a day.
50. That's a tight budget.
It's incredibly tight. They're eating local street food. They're relying on pretty intimidating public transport. And they're spending a significant amount of emotional energy just trying to dodge every single financial and logistical scam they will encounter.
And our job is to figure out if that high-value Red Sea experience is ultimately worth that. That high level of required mental tolerance,
Sure.
regardless of how much you're actually spending.
And before we jump into segment one, where we really get into the economics, let's just throw out three contrarian surprises that fundamentally shift expectations.
Okay, I like this.
These are the nuggets that, the glossy travel magazines tend to leave out.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The first major surprise is a contextual one, and it's a big one. Hurghada is culturally not Egypt.
What do you mean by that?
Not in the way travelers usually conceptualize.
Right. This is so essential for managing expectations. When you think of Egypt, you think of Cairo, of Luxor, of millennia of tradition, deep Islamic culture, and all that iconic ancient architecture.
Exactly.
Hurghada is none of that. It is fundamentally a modern, purpose-built tourism vacuum. Its history doesn't stretch back to the pharaohs.
Right.
It stretches back to the 1980s, when it was basically developed from nothing specifically to cater to German and Russian package tourists looking for sun and sea.
So when you look outside your resort, you are not seeing charming ancient alleyways or historic markets. You are seeing concrete blocks, modern and very often unfinished construction and commercial strips designed to sell mass-produced souvenirs.
It completely lacks the cultural depth and the traditional community structure you might expect if you were visiting, say, Aswan or somewhere like that. It's an international bubble. It's not a cultural hub, which leads directly into surprise number two, a warning about winter travel.
Ah, yes.
People see Egypt on the brochure, and they immediately conjure images of scorching, oppressive desert heat all year round.
Right, you pack for the Sahara.
Exactly. But while the sun is intense, if you plan your trip for January or February, which is peak budget season, you are going to be surprised. It can be cold.
The sources consistently warn about the intense wind. The daytime air temperature might be a really comfortable 72 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, but the minute you introduce a brisk Red Sea wind,
The temperature just plummets.
instantly. And this matters because what is the main activity?
Getting on a boat.
Getting on a boat.
Yeah.
And out on the water, That wind chill factor is brutal. Travelers report freezing solid on the deck if they only packed a swimsuit and maybe a light cover-up.
So expecting scorching heat is a huge mistake. You absolutely have to pack a decent windbreaker, maybe even a beanie and a hoodie, if you plan on actually enjoying the sea during those winter months.
You just don't want to come all that way to the Red Sea just to feel chilled to the bone.
No. Okay, and the third, and maybe the ultimate travel nugget, which really determines the mid-range traveler's happiness.
Let's hear it.
The best part of the entire Hurghada experience is not actually located in Hurghada proper.
Oh, interesting.
It's 20 miles north. We're talking about El Guna.
Right.
It's a beautifully designed, private, artificial, and thoroughly gated community. It's built around these lagoons and canals, and it offers a completely isolated, clean, and just friction-free experience.
So if you are the kind of traveler who just cannot tolerate the hassle, you have to factor in the cost of basing yourself there.
You have to.
Yeah.
But regardless of where you stay, north, middle, or south, the mid-range traveler and the backpacker, they must eventually confront the single major downside that colors every moment outside that guarded gate.
The relentless, exhausting hassle.
It is. It's not necessarily dangerous, but it is a constant low-level drain on your emotional and your mental energy.
Every single time you leave your hotel, someone is selling you something, trying to guide you somewhere, or trying to charge you 10 times the legitimate price.
The sources all consistently emphasize that this psychological fatigue is the true cost of Hurghada. It's not the money, it's the energy.
This is why effective communication is mandatory. If you are going to survive Hurghada without burning out, you must master one key non-negotiable phrase, and you have to deliver it firmly but politely.
La shukram.
No, thank you.
You have to be able to deploy that phrase decisively and repeatedly. We're talking maybe dozens of times a day.
And if you struggle with confrontation, or if you just find it difficult to say no, you're going to find yourself not only stressed out, but probably bankrupt from buying things you don't need.
Oh, yeah. Bottles of highly priced papyrus, fake perfume, grossly inflated taxi rides, you name it.
So we need to determine if the financial rewards and the natural beauty of the Red Sea justify the required high level of mental tolerance and, frankly, logistical preparation.
And we'll give you the tailored verdict for the backpacker, the couple, the family, and the luxury seeker by the end. Let's jump into the economics that are driving this whole boom. Okay, let's start with the fundamental context. Why is Hurghada suddenly the hot topic for Western tourists right now?
It seemed to have exploded in the last couple of years.
It really has. And the answer comes down entirely to macroeconomics, specifically the inflation economy that's sweeping across the U.S. and Europe.
Exactly. We need to put ourselves in the shoes of the average traveler from, say, the UK, Germany, or the U.S. They're looking at their traditional high-end vacation spots, and the Caribbean is prohibitively expensive. Destinations like the Greek islands or the Amalfi Coast, when you couple that with the high cost of airfare and local services, are simply pricing out the average family or couple looking for that 2-week escape.
And that's precisely where Egypt steps in. It's offering a radical solution that's rooted in its recent currency crisis.
A crisis for them is an opportunity for tourists.
That's a cynical way to put it, but it's true. Egypt's currency, the Egyptian pound, has undergone these massive devaluations over the last 2 years, particularly against the 3 major Western currencies: the dollar, the euro, and the pound sterling.
This creates a pure arbitrage opportunity for the traveler.
It's that simple. You are essentially taking money that is strong in your home country and deploying it in an economy where, due to that devaluation, it goes incredibly far for services and labor.
So you're getting luxury experiences, private transfers, high-end massages, sprawling resort space for what feels like budget prices back home.
That devaluation, not some sudden discovery of a new beach, is the primary economic driver behind this current tourist boom.
But here's the critical point I want to make. The incredible value on services directly clashes with the hassle we just talked about. Well, if the local economy is so heavily reliant on strong foreign currency, doesn't that inherently incentivize the high-pressure sales tactics?
Yeah.
Is the incredible value we're seeking actually the root cause of the constant low-level stress?
Wow, that's a fascinating perspective. You're suggesting that the economic opportunity we're chasing is what fuels the aggressive hustling.
It has to be, right?
Yeah. The people hustling are simply trying to capture that valuable hard currency. It suggests the only way to escape the pressure is to be completely walled off from the local economy.
Which brings us right back to the clash between social media and reality.
Social media paints this picture of the Egyptian Caribbean. The images are beautiful, white sand, tranquil spots like Orange Bay and Gifton Island, featuring those iconic wooden swings and shallow turquoise water. It just looks serene and isolated.
It does. It looks like a pristine, untouched paradise.
The reality that the sources reveal, however, is that those famous photo op islands are in fact industrial complexes dedicated to mass tourism. It's an assembly line. One traveler shared an anecdote about counting 44 zero-large motorboats docked at Orange Bay at one time.
40 boats.
40. That's thousands of tourists converging on a very small strip of sand. You are not experiencing tranquility. You are being effectively herded like cattle.
So it's not a relaxing day out.
No. You're given a structured 90 minutes to 2 hours to get off the boat. You queue up for your photo on the swing for Instagram, and then you are rushed back on board so the next boatload can take its turn. The tranquility sold online is replaced by noise, crowds, and structured, rushed movement.
So managing those expectations is absolutely vital. And this is where we need to talk about the structural geography of Hurghada, because as the source material showed us, your experience is entirely dependent on your zip code.
100%.
Hurghada is a long, thin coastal strip, and it breaks down into 3 distinctly different worlds.
And let's define these zones, because the mid-range comfort traveler needs to understand this more than anyone.
First, the north, El Guna. We mentioned this earlier. This is the rich section. It's private, it's gated, immaculately clean, isolated, and highly manicured.
It's built around a series of artificial lagoons and golf courses. It is specifically designed to eliminate all friction and hassle for the high-end traveler who wants a guaranteed bubble of comfort.
Everything there is quiet, regulated, and often priced at European levels to maintain that exclusivity.
Okay, then there's the middle, Hurghada city proper, which includes areas like Sagala and El Dahar.
This is the heart of the original developing town. It is gritty, intensely loud, aggressively local, and a full-scale sensory overload.
This is the habitat of the backpacker adventure traveler. This is where you find the cheapest dorms, the local eats, and the most intense level of daily hassle and noise.
And finally, a south, Sel Hashish and Soma Bay.
These are characterized by giant, sprawling, walled-off resort compounds. Think massive, self-contained cities, often owned by international chains.
And if you stay here, you exist almost entirely in a Western bubble. You rarely have to use local transport or services. Travelers in the South often never interact with local Egyptians outside of the service staff working within the resort walls.
So this segmentation is the key to happiness. If you are friction-averse, you aim for the manicured compounds in the north or south.
And if you are the budget grinder, you're going to be immersed in the chaotic middle, where the logistical traps multiply, but the price is right.
But now we have to reiterate the ultimate saving grace, the element that unites all 3 of these zones and truly, genuinely lives up to the hype.
The underwater experience.
The Red Sea coral reefs are recognized globally. They're consistently cited as some of the healthiest, most diverse coral ecosystems on the planet. This is the non-negotiable win of Hurghada.
I mean, it's been called a natural wonder of the world due to its clarity and biological density.
And the incredible thing is that even with the crowds in the industrial complex above water, all the noise, the boat traffic, the moment you put your head beneath the surface, all of that just stops.
And the biological diversity, the water clarity, the sheer volume of marine life, from colorful fan corals to massive schools of tropical fish, it just justifies the entire journey for anyone interested in diving or snorkeling.
So the water is the prize you are traveling for.
Everything else, the airport, the taxis, the hassle, the trash, is the logistical obstacle course you have to navigate to reach that prize. So let's talk about navigating that obstacle course, starting the moment your plane lands. The sources highlight that the logistics gauntlet begins immediately at Hurghada International Airport.
It's the first shock to the system for almost every new arrival. You're jet-lagged, you're hot, and you're immediately faced with 2 mandatory logistical steps that require cash, attention, and knowing the system before you can even think about getting transportation.
Step 1. The visa.
Ugh, the visa.
I cannot overstate the importance of pre-buying the visa. If you neglect this, you land, and you are immediately diverted away from the main immigration queue and forced to stand in a completely separate, often chaotic, bank queue.
You're literally standing in line at a bank teller inside the airport. You're buying a physical sticker for $25. It's a bureaucracy trap designed to slow you down.
And here is the specific inconvenience. It requires cash, preferably US dollars, and ideally exact change.
So you just landed, you don't have local currency yet, and you're fighting crowds just to buy a sticker that prevents a massive queue delay later. It's a whole thing.
Once you survive the bank queue, step 2, connectivity. You immediately hit the SIM card kiosks. You must stop here. This is not optional.
Why is this mandatory, even for the mid-range traveler who's probably expecting reliable resort Wi-Fi?
Because hotel Wi-Fi in Egypt, across nearly all budget levels, is notoriously garbage. It's slow, unreliable, and often restricted to the lobby if it even works at all.
And you need reliable, fast data for mapping, for communication, but most crucially, for ordering rideshare services to bypass the traps waiting for you outside.
Get an Orange or Vodafone SIM. The sources suggest a robust data package, maybe 20 gigabytes, costs about 10 US dollars. It is genuinely the best $10 you will spend on your entire trip.
Because it buys you peace of mind and protection from scams?
Exactly. So once you have your Visa sticker and your functioning data plan, you walk out of the terminal doors and right into the high-pressure situation. Taxi mafia trap.
This is a textbook, aggressive, high-pressure scam that targets newly arrived, stressed, and cash-rich tourists who look vulnerable.
The curb drivers will swarm you instantly and quote you a ridiculous inflated rate. They will aggressively demand 20 US dollars for a ride downtown.
And what is the actual legitimate tracked cost? If you use your new SIM card to fire up a rideshare service like Uber or Careem.
Careem is the regional equivalent.
Right. The true fixed cost to the same downtown location is around 150 Egyptian pounds. That translates to approximately 3 to 4 US dollars.
That is a 600% markup.
And the drivers know it. The source material is just replete with anecdotes of drivers lying directly to travelers' faces to prevent them from using the cheaper alternative.
They'll claim Uber is illegal. They will claim rideshare apps are not allowed in the airport area. They will use every psychological tactic they have to make you feel like you must take their vehicle, claiming your app won't work.
This is where that $10 SIM card pays for itself immediately. You have the power to just walk right past them, get into your legitimately priced Uber, and start your trip without a $17 scam subtracting from your daily budget.
Okay, so you've navigated the internal bureaucracy and the external hustlers, and you are finally driving into the city. What's that first physical external impression?
It feels incredibly unfinished.
Unfinished.
The sources describe the drive as passing through these dusty, littered highways lined with skeletal buildings, often just concrete frames that were started decades ago and never completed. It feels like a massive construction project that just stalled.
So it's gritty. It is dusty. It is absolutely the non-scenic approach to paradise.
And this visual reality is where the two traveler types split dramatically.
Right.
If you're the mid-range comfort traveler heading south to Sal Hashish or north to El Guna, the contrast is immediate and jarring. You arrive at the border of your destination, you pass through standard but notable Egyptian security procedures, gates, checkpoints, sometimes bomb-sniffing dogs.
Which is common and shouldn't cause panic.
Not at all. And then suddenly you are in a different world. You move from dust and unfinished concrete to manicured lawns, marble lobbies, and filtered air. It's an immediate, jarring separation from the world outside the gate.
But if you are the backpacker heading to the city core, say the area around Sheridan Road, your arrival is a pure sensory collision.
A torrent of bright, often garish neon lights, competing vendors, incredibly loud, distorted music pumping from storefronts, constant, relentless honking of horns.
And the smells.
And the pervasive smells of shisha smoke and grilled street meat hitting you all at once. It is not a gentle introduction. It's a high-volume collision with the density and chaos of local life. Okay, now let's talk about the silver lining, the mitigating factor for all this friction, the costs.
Right. This is where Hurghada truly distinguishes itself from high-cost destinations. We're focusing on dry season peak or shoulder season pricing just to demonstrate the incredible value proposition.
Let's start with the backpacker model. The budget grinder aiming for a maximum of $50 per day.
Is that even possible?
It is absolutely achievable, but it requires relentless discipline, especially in limiting activities and avoiding those impulse buys.
Okay, so where does the money go?
Accommodation is the baseline. You can find hostels like Bedcoin or Sea Waves offering clean dorm beds for $10 to $15 a night. If you upgrade to a basic private room in a budget hotel, you might push that to $20.
So a big chunk of your $50 is gone right away on shelter.
It is. But the major win for the budget traveler is the food. This is where you maximize your local currency advantage.
And eating local is not just cheaper, it's delicious and authentic.
It's incredible. You can grab a massive filling bowl of koshiri, that perfect mix of rice, pasta, lentils, and crispy fried onions slathered in a tomato sauce for maybe $1.50. Falafel sandwiches are about 50 cents.
Wow.
If you commit to strictly local street food and market stalls, your daily food budget can realistically be held to $5 to $7.
Okay, that helps a lot. What about transport?
Transport can cost pennies if you are brave enough to master the microbus system.
Which is
It's essentially a white van acting as an unregulated shared taxi shouting destinations. You pay a tiny amount for the route. However, it's intimidating, and it requires some conversational Arabic and serious nerves.
so if you use Uber for every ride, that transport cost starts to climb pretty rapidly.
Very rapidly. But here is the major constraint for the budget traveler: activities. The reason you came is the Red Sea.
And you can't escape the cost of a boat.
You can't. A basic shared boat trip for diving or snorkeling, often called a cattle boat, is going to cost you $20 to $30 minimum.
And that's the rub, isn't it?
It is. If you want to do a Red Sea trip every second day, your true daily burn jumps from $35 or $40 up to $50 or $60, forcing you over the limit.
So the thing you came for is the very thing that breaks the budget.
Exactly. This is why the verdict for the backpacker requires careful analysis later.
Okay, so let's pivot to the mid-range comfort model, the sweet spot, spending between $150 and $250 a day.
For accommodation, this range secures an extremely high standard. For $100 to $150 a night, you get boutique hotels like Cook's Club in El Guna, or a high-quality, modern, friction-free Airbnb in Sal Hashish.
And the physical quality of the rooms, the pools, the surrounding environment, it's often equivalent to what would cost $300 or $400 a night in the Mediterranean.
Absolutely. But where you start eating heavily into that budget is in food and drink, specifically if you stick to the high-end tourist zones.
The marinas and the resorts.
Exactly. If you're eating at the fancy marinas, the resort compounds, or licensed high-end restaurants, a dinner for two with imported wine or cocktails can easily run $60 to $80. You pay the international premium for the westernized environment.
But the activities upgrade is the key benefit here.
It's a game changer. The mid-range traveler bypasses the crowded cattle boat experience. They can afford to hire a private speedboat for a half day or a full day.
And splitting that between two people, the cost is manageable, $100 to $150 for exclusivity.
And that means you control the schedule, you avoid the crowds, and you dictate exactly where you dive or snorkel. You're exchanging money for freedom from friction.
So even if you're hitting $200 daily, you are getting an experience that would cost $500 or $600 a day in Western Europe or the US. You are living at a luxury standard for a comfortable mid-range price point.
But we need to highlight the two major financial traps that can quickly erode that perceived value.
Let's hear them.
The first one is a real shocker for many Western tourists: the alcohol tax trap.
Right. Because Egypt is a Muslim country, imported alcohol faces massive taxation and duties intended to discourage consumption.
So if you are sitting at a bar in a resort or a restaurant in the marina and you order a simple cocktail, you must specify whether you want local or imported liquor.
And the difference is vast, both in quality and price.
Oh, yeah. Local gin, local vodka, local beer. It's cheap, maybe $3 a drink. But as one source hilariously described it, it tastes like paint thinner.
Right.
Imported recognizable brands like Tanqueray or Jack Daniels, they can cost $15 to $20 a drink, easily rivaling or exceeding prices in London or New York.
And this detail is often buried in the fine print on the menu.
Exactly. So if you're a couple who enjoys 3 cocktails each before dinner, that's $90 right there, completely eliminating all the cost savings you gained on accommodation.
So tourists who are heavy drinkers need to be acutely aware that their budget can be destroyed entirely by imported liquor costs.
100%. And the second universal financial trap is bakshish, the mandatory tipping culture.
This is not just optional generosity. It is a mandatory, deeply ingrained part of the Egyptian service economy.
Travelers have to understand the cultural context here. Official wages for many service workers are extremely low, and the system relies on bakshish as a necessary layer of income.
So you need to factor in 10 to 15% on virtually everything, and we mean everything.
This includes formal services like restaurants, but also informal services.
Yeah.
You need to always keep small bills, 10s and 20s in Egyptian pounds in your pocket, ready to deploy.
For the bathroom attendants, who are ubiquitous,
Yeah.
for the person who helps you negotiate a price, the luggage handlers, the driver who helps load your bag, even the person who gives you directions.
And if you don't offer it, you will likely be asked for it, which just increases the friction. You need to mentally shift from thinking of it as tipping to considering it an unavoidable, required tax on interaction, and just budget accordingly. We've established the costs. Now let's move to the practical logistics and the specific named traps. Avoiding these 3 mistakes is crucial to avoiding suffering and maximizing your relaxation time.
Trap number 1, and this is perhaps the most emotionally and physically painful error travelers consistently make.
Oh, I know this one.
The Luxor day trip. You see the flyers everywhere promising easy access to the Valley of the Kings, Karnak Temple, and the history you expect from Egypt.
And the sources are absolutely unanimous on this. Do not do this unless you genuinely enjoy being exhausted and miserable.
You look at the map, it's roughly 300 kilometers, and you think, I can handle a long bus ride.
You can't. The drive through the vast, visually monotonous desert, which is often done in these police-regulated convoys, and limited to a speed of 90 kilometers per hour, takes 4 to 5 hours each way.
Let's just break down the math of suffering here.
The math of suffering, I like that.
You leave your hotel at 5 a.m. You arrive at Luxor at 10 a.m., which is precisely the hottest, most oppressive part of the day.
And you are then rushed through the major sites, the temple, the tombs, in a 3-hour sprint, fighting the crowds and the heat, trying to absorb millennia of history while you're completely dehydrated.
And then you are back in the vehicle by 5 p.m. for the grueling, dark, 5-hour return journey, finally collapsing back in your Hurghada hotel around 10 p.m.
So that is a 16-hour day for only 3 hours of sightseeing. It's exhausting, reductive, and counterproductive to the point of being dangerous because of the heat exposure.
So, the fix. If ancient Egyptian history is a priority for you, then you must fly into Cairo first, then fly down to Luxor and spend 2 nights there.
See the sights properly. See them at sunrise and sunset when the heat is bearable and the crowds are thinner. Do not, under any circumstance, day trip from Hurghada. The domestic flight is the cost of your sanity.
It really is.
Okay.
Trap number 2, the standard white taxi.
We warned about the airport, but this applies across the city center. This is vital for the backpacker. Never, ever get into a standard white taxi without firmly agreeing on a fixed price beforehand.
And if you don't,
you will be quoted an extortionate rate upon arrival, leading to an inevitable, stressful, and sometimes aggressive argument.
the fix for this is simple and non-negotiable for the mid-range traveler, and highly recommended even for the backpacker.
Use Uber or Careem.
That's it. The price is fixed and tracked, and the risk of argument is eliminated entirely. This small behavioral adjustment is one of the most effective ways to reduce your daily dose of friction.
Okay, trap number 3 is the most insidious because it masquerades as generosity. The free city tour.
Ah, yes. This might be offered by your hotel or by a highly charming tout on the street who says they simply want to practice English or show you the real Hurghada, maybe the Almina Mosque or a local Coptic church.
This is not a cultural tour. The sources define this experience as a calculated kidnapping into a series of high-pressure retail outlets.
Kidnapping, that's a strong word.
It is, but that's how it feels. They will drag you into a perfume shop, then a papyrus shop, and then finally a spice shop. You will be seated, served tea, and subjected to highly aggressive, emotional sales tactics for hours for overpriced items you absolutely do not need.
And the tout gets a commission for every store visit, and they will use every psychological trick to make you feel guilty for taking their time without buying something. It just burns through hours of your vacation time.
The fix. Take an Uber directly to the site you want to see, like the impressive Almina Mosque, and just walk around independently. If anyone, no matter how friendly, invites you into a shop just to look or just to have tea, you must family and politely use your phrase.
La shukran, and keep walking.
Right. Beyond logistics, let's pivot to health. The infamous Farah's revenge stomach issues affects nearly half of all travelers.
This is extremely common. The sources suggested that upwards of 40% of travelers experience some form of stomach distress.
And tourists often make the mistake of blaming the grilled meat or the cooked street food. Usually, that is not the culprit.
What is it then?
The cause is typically water contamination, either directly from tap water, water used to wash fresh produce like salads, or, most commonly, ice cubes.
So this requires extreme discipline. The rules are clear. If you can't peel it or boil it, don't eat it.
That means saying no to uncooked salads and being vigilant about ice cubes and drinks, even in decent-looking restaurants. And crucially, you must brush your teeth with bottled water.
Yes, even in a high-end resort bathroom, do not trust the tap water for brushing. And the sources also warn, slightly humorously but seriously, to keep your mouth shut in the shower.
It's that easy to accidentally ingest the bacteria that causes the problem.
And if, despite all your precautions, you do get sick, forget whatever you brought from home, like Imodium.
Imodium often fails because what you have is typically a bacterial infection, not simple traveler's diarrhea. It needs a targeted antibiotic, and the local fix is highly effective.
Go to any local pharmacy and ask specifically for Antinol.
Antinal. It's the local yellow pill that works incredibly effectively for bacterial gut infections. It is cheap, easily accessible over the counter, and will clean out the infection far more effectively and rapidly than standard Western medication. It is essential to have this on hand.
Let's discuss safety, specifically focusing on the experience of the female traveler.
Physically, Hurghada is safe. Violent crime against tourists is rare. The government ensures high visibility of tourism police in all the main areas, making you feel secure regarding major threats.
However, the problem is constant, exhausting attention.
Yeah. This includes relentless staring, catcalling, and men following you asking intrusive questions about where you're from or if you need help.
So it's not often physically dangerous, but the cumulative effect of having your personal space constantly invaded is annoying, tiring, and it wears down your patience very quickly.
Mitigation strategies. If you are a solo female traveler and this is your primary concern, your only guarantee of peace is staying strictly in the gated community of El Guna.
That eliminates about 90% of this specific hassle.
It does. If you choose to explore downtown Hurghada, dressing conservatively, shoulders and knees covered, is strongly advised. While it won't stop the attention entirely, it does help reduce the volume of comments and unsolicited interactions.
Okay, one more. Finally, one more subtle financial trap to watch for. The friendly currency helper scam.
Ugh, this one is clever. Egyptian banknotes can be visually confusing, especially to a newly arrived traveler. Specifically, the 200-pound note and the 20-pound note share a very similar color scheme.
So the scammer approaches you under the guise of being helpful, offering to count your money or explain the denominations.
In that moment of distraction, using a swift sleight of hand, they will swap a high-value note, like the 200 with the low-value 20.
And you walk away thinking they were just helpful, only realizing the mistake much later.
The only way to counter this is total vigilance. Learn the currency immediately, handle your money discreetly, firmly, and never accept assistance counting your bills from strangers.
After enduring all that logistical friction, the airport, the taxis, the baksheesh, the stomach rules, you need to know what tangible rewards are waiting for you. Let's look at the absolute high points that make Hurghada a worthwhile destination.
My favorite high point shared in the source material was the authentic food and atmosphere found at Felfella.
Ah, Felfella.
It stands in such stark contrast to the tackiness of the marina. It's described as an old-school Egyptian institution. It's a multi-tiered restaurant literally built into the natural cliff face overlooking the sea.
It offers a spectacular sunset dinner experience that feels genuinely peaceful and authentic, unlike the manufactured experiences you find elsewhere.
It serves classic, non-westernized Egyptian fare, perfectly seasoned grilled meats, fresh fish, huge assortments of mezz. You smell the grilling charcoal and the sea air, you hear the waves lapping below, and you feel miles away from the honking and chaos of downtown.
It's a true, quiet taste of non-resort life, and it's a huge win for authentic seekers.
It really is. And the second undeniable world-class high is the diving. The unparalleled value and quality of Red Sea diving is the main reason Hurghada can be legitimately recommended despite its flaws.
For experienced divers, the value is just unbeatable globally.
You're looking at world-class visibility, often 30 meters or more, and incredible, vibrant marine life for a fraction of the cost you would pay in the Caribbean or Southeast Asia.
The sources specifically mention the incredible local reefs like Careless Reef, known for its healthy, colorful, hard, and soft corals.
You are guaranteed to see massive moray eels, beautiful blue-spotted rays resting on the sand, and huge, pulsing schools of bannerfish and angelfish. The reefs are thriving due to the local conditions, making the underwater world a constant, breathtaking reward.
And the price point for access to that natural wonder.
About $40 per dive, including equipment rental and boat transport in the shared boat model. That is extraordinary value for a world-class experience.
And while the famous Thistlegorm wreck is accessible from Hurghada, The sources correctly note that for a dedicated wreck dive, it's a slightly shorter and easier trip if you base yourself out of Sharm el-Sheikh instead.
That's right. But for general reef diving, Hurghada is phenomenal. The Red Sea truly is the high point. It's the constant, breathtaking draw that justifies the entire logistical battle above the surface.
Okay, but speaking of the battle above the surface, let's hit the major disappointments, the lows. These are the things that actively detract from the luxury illusion.
Number one low for me has to be the Hurghada Marina. It is widely billed as the high-end evening destination, the place to go for fancy dinner and drinks.
And in reality,
In reality, it is profoundly sterile. It feels utterly lacking in local flavor or character.
it's just an artificial promenade featuring only overpriced tourist catering restaurants playing loud, often bad, generic dance music, and patrolled by aggressive restaurant touts trying to force you into their establishment.
It was described as feeling like a bad, tacky, copy-paste version of a cheap American beachfront, like a poor man's Miami. It completely fails to deliver on the promised sophisticated luxury vibe.
And my biggest disappointment, which hits right at the core of that thin veneer we keep mentioning, is the shock of the trash and squalor.
The rapid, jarring transition from luxury to squalor is a physical manifestation of the city's incomplete development.
You step outside the security gate of your perfectly manicured, marble-clad resort, you walk maybe 100 meters, and you are immediately confronted by piles of rubble, construction waste, raw sewage runoff, and plastic bottles strewn across the desert landscape.
And this isn't just about it being slightly messy. It breaks the entire illusion.
You are constantly aware that the opulence you are enjoying exists inside a highly protected, artificial bubble. The infrastructure dedicated to tourism is high-end, but the municipal infrastructure outside that bubble is often non-existent or ignored.
And that leads to this profound contrast that many travelers find just depressing.
So if the highs, even the diving, don't quite outweigh those lows and the hassle, or if you realize the psychological cost is just too high for you, we need to provide some strategic alternatives within Egypt.
Okay, let's do it. For the backpacker who wants genuine vibes, easy social scenes, and walkability.
Avoid Hurghada and go directly to Dahab, located on the Sinai Peninsula.
Dahab is significantly cheaper, inherently safer, and entirely walkable, which immediately solves the major Hurghada transport problem. It's known as a relaxed, social, genuine hippie town.
There are no high-rises. You see goats wandering the street, and it's characterized by these chilled-out, simple waterside cafes. It's the laid-back, friction-free atmosphere that Hurghada simply cannot offer the budget traveler.
Okay, next, for the serious diver who craves total isolation and wants zero interaction with nightlife or shopping.
Your destination is Marsa Alam, located about 3 hours south of Hurghada.
Marsa Alam is pure, unadulterated diving dedicated entirely to the reef. It's characterized by pristine, less crowded reefs and a significantly higher chance of seeing large, rare creatures like the dugong or sea cow.
It's 100% desert and dedicated dive resorts. Zero nightlife, zero shopping, and minimal hassle outside the resort walls.
And finally, for travelers who want more polish, slightly better resort infrastructure, and who don't mind paying a bit more,
Consider Sharm el-Sheikh.
Sharm generally offers a more mature, refined infrastructure than Hurghada, and often boasts better beachfront reefs, meaning you don't always need to take a long boat trip just to see great coral.
However, it is generally slightly more expensive than Hurghada and feels intensely resort-heavy, maybe even more so.
And if you do choose Hurghada, we strongly advise a strategic itinerary combo that respects the domestic travel pain.
Fly into Cairo first. Spend 3 days there focusing on the pyramids and the museum. Get your required ancient history fix. Then fly directly to Hurghada for 4 days of pure Red Sea relaxation.
Do not attempt to link these cities by bus or car. The domestic flights are incredibly cheap and worth every single penny to save your sanity and your time. So we've reached the final verdict matrix. Is Hurghada worth the ticket? We have to weigh the incredible financial value and the world-class water against the relentless logistical hassle and the fundamentally mediocre, high-friction city structure.
Let's start with the backpacker, the budget grinder.
Verdict: no.
A flat no.
A flat no. They should skip Hurghada and choose Dahab instead. Hurghada is simply too spread out. Transport costs, even via Uber or Careem, start to accumulate, rapidly eroding that crucial $50 daily budget.
And crucially, Hurghada City lacks the necessary, easy, social hostel culture that backpackers rely on for inexpensive socializing and information sharing.
The low price of food just isn't enough to justify the high price of transport and friction.
Okay, Now, the mid-range couple, the traveler aiming for luxury standards at a discount.
Verdict, yes, but with a massive condition.
Just
They must strictly stay in the northern or southern gated areas, El Guna or Sal Hashish. They have to pay the premium for that hassle-free environment to enjoy the high-end dining, the boutique accommodation, and the private boat trips.
And if they try to stay downtown to save $20 on a room,
The stress and hassle will absolutely ruin the trip and negate the feeling of relaxation. It's a false economy.
the family trick.
Verdict, yes, a strong yes. The all-inclusive resorts, especially the massive water park-centric facilities like Jungle Aqua Park, offer genuinely incredible value.
I mean, a family of 4 can effectively eat, sleep,
Yeah.
and be fully entertained for a week for the price of a short weekend at a U.S. amusement park like Disney.
Exactly. The family is expected to stick almost entirely to the resort bubble, treating Hurghada as a safe, self-contained vacation factory.
Okay, and finally, the luxury traveler.
Verdict, mixed bag. World-class luxury absolutely exists, for instance, at places like the Oberoi Sal Hashish, offering impeccable service and pristine grounds. However, you have to be acutely warned about the rating inflation.
Yes. Egyptian 5-star ratings are often heavily inflated compared to true international standards.
Right. The rating is often based on things like the total square footage of the property, the number of swimming pools, or the sheer number of restaurants, rather than the quality of maintenance or the level of tailored service.
So a 5-star resort here can easily feel like a decent European 3-star.
The luxury traveler needs to do their homework. Research specific Western metrics. Check reviews for specific bedding quality. Look for premium cocktail menu complexity and ensure high-end brand affiliation to guarantee that the hotel meets your expectation of luxury.
Otherwise, you might feel like you overpaid for what is essentially a very nice but not world-class resort.
So, overall synthesis. Hurghada is fundamentally a logistics hub with world-class water attached to a mediocre, high-hassle city.
Come for the Red Sea and the incredible non-negotiable value. But be ready to tolerate the difficulty inherent in navigating the city, the airport, and the aggressive sales tactics. And remember our essential rule. Do not attempt to take the bus to Luxor.
Okay, that was a lot of ground covered. We've given you the structure, the traps, and the solutions for both the mid-range and the budget traveler. So what does this all mean for you, the listener, as you calculate the true cost of your journey?
Here is the final provocative thought we want to leave you with. We established that Hurghada offers incredible financial value, especially in the mid-range bracket, where you can afford true exclusivity for half the price.
Right.
But we also established that the city outside the gates requires constant vigilance and mental effort to manage the logistical traps and the relentless hassle.
The true cost of travel isn't measured solely by the money you spend. It's the time and the emotional energy you expend managing friction.
Given the massive financial savings on offer here, saving hundreds, perhaps thousands of dollars, where is the optimal line for you between acceptable hassle and sheer restorative relaxation?
Consider if the money you save is truly worth the high psychological cost incurred outside that resort gate, and whether you are better off allocating a little more of that budget, say $50 extra per night, to ensure a completely friction-free El Guna-style bubble experience that guarantees peace of mind.
That is the ultimate cost-benefit analysis you must perform to make Hurghada work for you.
That's our deep dive into the paradox of the Red Sea. Safe travels, watch your wallet, and do not forget that windbreaker.
See you next time.